So, welcome back to the Point Shavers Week 2 recap. I'm excited. Blake, how about you?
I'm excited. It was a rough week, man. We had a lot of upsets that the point shavers maybe did not anticipate like we could have.
Yeah.
It was a tough week, man. If you look at the numbers, seven of the teams that were favored got beat outright, and the lowest spread on those games was Jacksonville, and they were -3. But I mean, you had Philly, who was favored by 6.5, go down outright. You had Baltimore, obviously they were a huge favorite, 8.5. They got beat outright. I mean, San Francisco, 6-point favorite, got beat outright. So it was just a crazy week. I still have a ton of question marks about a lot of these teams. Like, are some of them as bad as we think they are, or some of them as good as we think we are? But what do you think about week 2, Louis?
Well, I was just going to reference that. I'll let you finish your analysis, but really, New Orleans, New Orleans. I know they have some offensive talents, and they've had them the past couple of years, but they didn't produce like this. I mean, after week 2, they're a juggernaut. I mean, in 2 weeks in, which I found really surprising. Some of the games that I had picked that were straight up losses. Of course, Baltimore was one of those. Las Vegas. See, I was kind of bagging on Gardner Minshew, but I didn't really go look at it until after the fact. He's a top 2 passer percent. He's the number 1 passer percentage wise right now in the NFL. By the way, after 2 weeks, 77%, I believe, is what it was. 77.2, 77.8. It's not in front of me, but something like that. And then he's in passing yards in the top 3 or 4, I believe. So I wouldn't have guessed that about Gardner Minshew. And he's got, of course, Devontae Adams there. There's definitely some surprises, and sadly, San Francisco, 2 weeks in, they lost some pretty big weapons. I realize I'm rambling, but go ahead and finish your analysis for those teams that.
No, I mean you're exactly right. Going back to New Orleans, I mean, is Kubiak, is he the one that's kind of starting that offense that has kind of been the difference this year for New Orleans? Talking about Gardner Minshew, I mean, I think Brock Bowers, I think he is a super underrated weapon in that offense, and I think he's going to become a real superstar in this league that's going to be comparable to George Kittle, Travis Kelce of old. You know, one of those top tier guys. Trey McBride is another one who's really coming on. Arizona looked really good this week, so. A lot of question marks going into week 3, but just kind of recapping our results as the Point Shavers, we were 36 wins to 30 losses last week. That puts us just right at 55%. So we are still positive. For our 2 weeks combined, we are 72 wins to 58 losses. So Point Shavers are navigating this tumultuous season pretty well, if you ask me, Loey.
Yeah, we are. But listen, I get hung up on things. Last week, I lost three bets, because we do the spread and we do the over-under. I lost 3 bets total, 3 total games by 1.5. I lost by a half, a half, a half. So close from making the percentage better. That's part of betting, though. But what got me is this week, last week, Buffalo is playing Miami. Tua is in the game. They're not far. I think they're in the red zone, right? I think they're in the red zone when he actually got hurt. Yeah, that's right. Because he was.
Yep.
And so if Tua was in there, they would have scored. Nothing's for sure, but pretty for sure they'd have scored. At the very least, kicked a field goal. And he got hurt, and we missed the under. We missed the over. The game went under. That game would 100% would have hit. So yeah, crazy things. I lost to New Orleans, Dallas. I lost both of it. I chose Dallas with the points. There's another team. Preseason, just like every Cowboys fan, which I know that you are, it's like,
I am.
Oh, this is Dallas's year. This is it. I'm not mad at Cowboys fans. I'm saying even for myself, I feel like I drank the Kool-Aid a little just because their defense is so good. And then they always have offensive weapons, one of the top receivers in football. It's not like I thought Ezekiel Elliott was going to change the thing. I mean, we've already changed the tune there himself. It's not like he's going to be a 1,000-yard rusher anymore. But I feel like they had the weapons. And, man, they got destroyed by a team. I wouldn't have put money on New Orleans whatsoever. But, man, they really –
Yeah. Is Dallas defense as good as we thought they were, or is the New Orleans offense just that powerful right now?
Well, you asked me that before, and I think my answer. What was my answer to that? I mean, I, I can't answer that. I would have gave you an intelligent answer. I think first week, maybe previous to the second week. I actually think New Orleans is probably that good,
I,
which is
I
crazy
don't.
because Derek Carr, I don't really feel like is this top tier quarterback. He's had some time in his life where he seemed like he was kind of possibly reaching the next level. But at this point in his career, I wouldn't have guessed that he would have started like that. So
I think the Dallas defense struggled last week. I mean, if you go back and watch that game, it was painful for a Cowboys fan to watch, but they were getting outside whenever they wanted to. We had no containment. Like I played for the Cowboys, but the Cowboys had no containment. No, they weren't jamming receivers at the line. Raheed Shaheed got open whenever he wanted to. Olave was open all day. I believe Kamara had 3 rushing touchdowns and caught one as well. He just ran wild. So I mean, it was a very porous defense that just didn't have any energy from the get go. I think if the Cowboys don't get to the quarterback, I think their defense is going to struggle.
yeah, yeah. Well, listen, fantasy wise, I dropped Dallas today. I dropped them quick.
Wow.
Yeah, I picked Green Bay up, but let's go to the next one. So we talked about this first 3, New York Giants, Washington. I believe we called that the snoozer of the week. I think that's what we called it, right?
It was, and it did live up to that. So I'll give us 3 wins on that because we both did correctly pick the spread and the total on that, and we did pick that it was going to be a snoozer. Tons of field goals. If you like field goal kicking, I mean, this was your game.
Yeah,
I mean, what do we have? Washington won 21-18. Washington was favored by 1.5. The total there was 41.5. So they didn't even come close to the total on that. I mean, it was close, but
well,
just a terrible game to watch.
I did pick the under, but here's the odd thing: Jaden Daniels, stats wise, he's not throwing touchdown passes, but what did he throw? 275, 279 yards, something like that. No, it's not accurate. It's close. Last week, which is this is a guy who I didn't give him. He's a rookie, and just based on how rookies typically play, I mean, the yards are there, his completions are there, percentages there.
And he's not turning the ball over.
They just don't. They're just not getting in, But so that was a surprise to me. It was a surprise that New York even kept it close. But honestly, last year Washington had the worst defense in the NFL, and they're currently not far off of that. So it's that's what it is. So on that particular game, just looking at it, we both won out against the spread
Yeah,
at
we
the under.
were good on that game.
Yeah, and then the next one though, we have San Francisco, Minnesota. Another surprise team for me. I realize they played San Francisco. They played them tough. They beat them. San Francisco, once again, as we said earlier, they lost some of their weapons, but Minnesota looks like they're a squad.
Man, anytime you got Justin Jefferson and a quarterback who's going to feed him the ball, that's a dangerous offense. I mean, Justin Jefferson is, I think, probably the best receiver in football right now. He's up there with CeeDee Lamb. And they're rolling right now. And Sam Darnold, I think he found a nice fit here. I think he's comfortable in the offense. The defense does enough. Like you said, San Francisco was without a few weapons. They lost Debo late in the game, didn't have Christian McCaffrey. I thought Brock Purdy played a nice game, but I'm a little surprised by San Francisco's defense. I really thought they would be much better this year. I did take the under in this game, as did you, which we both did hit. But San Francisco only scoring 17 points, even without Christian McCaffrey. I mean, Jordan Mason's running the ball great. I mean, I don't think they're missing a lot out of Christian McCaffrey. I'm sure their offense isn't quite as dynamic as far as play calling that they normally would have with Christian McCaffrey in the game, but I'm just surprised they only were able to manage 17 points against Minnesota. I'm interested to see how Minnesota does moving forward against some other opponents and just kind of see how their defense trends if Sam Darnold can keep up this torrid pace that he started the season with. But that was a big shocker for me to see San Francisco losing on the road in week 2.
Definitely a shocker for me also. Um, Seattle, New England. Seattle, New England. I said the game was going to take the over. I don't even know why I said that because I've called them the snoozers at some point in the last couple of weeks. It just didn't look like it was a big matchup. But the reality is, because I'll make these comments on when we're speaking, it's almost like I have to apologize to Jacoby Brissett and to Geno Smith because they look like pretty good quarterbacks this year.
And they balled out last week. I took the under in this game at 38.5, and I took a double loss on this because I also had Seattle minus the 3.5. I lost this one by a half point, which is always fun. So I took a double loss on this one. Look, you did take the over, and you got the win on that, but you also had Seattle minus the 3.5.
I did. In the first 2 weeks, I would have
get
said
into our picks for week 3, but New England, man, maybe they're better than we thought. OJ Mayo's he's coaching his ass off, man. He's doing a hell of a job with that squad. You can tell Bill Belichick still kind of got his hands on that team. They still play Belichick ball. Ramondre Stevenson is running the ball tons during the game. I think he had 19, 20 carries in the game, and that's a good recipe for them. Keep Jacoby Brissett out of pressure, and I'm actually interested to see how New England continues to trend.
So, can you see me? I think I froze up there. Am I froze up?
You're froze up on my screen, yes, but it's a great looking picture.
Yeah, it is. I mean, as long as you can hear my voice, I'm cool with it. Right?
Yep, I've got you.
Okay, well, we apologize for the technical difficulties here. I'm not sure what happened, but
it's been a night.
That's right. We have had multiple technical issues. Well, let's move forward though. Let's move forward.
Tampa Bay, Detroit.
Yeah, what a funny video. You know what? I'm gonna just take the grainy video. Sorry, this is grainy, but it's better than me having some kind of funky froze up face. Does it look like I'm lagging?
Yeah, I still have the frozen screen on my end.
All right, well, we'll move forward. Here we go. So, moving forward, Tampa Bay, Detroit. See, there's another game. I did take Tampa Bay, but that was really based on like first week woes for Detroit. I chose Tampa Bay with 7.5, and I chose the under, and I did hit them both. I just didn't think Baker Mayfield, I feel like is pretty good this year, but even though the Lions have been a team to beat the last couple of years, at the end of 2 seasons ago, and of course last year, just a good run.
Right.
I was a Lions believer. I think they're having some struggles right now, though.
You know, I still believe in the Lions. I feel like Jared Goff every year has a game or two where he just comes out and doesn't play well, and I think this was his yearly blunder of blunders. I think he threw 3 interceptions in the game. I also picked Tampa Bay to cover the 7.5, but I thought we'd have more of a backdoor cover. Baker kind of bringing them back late to get within a touchdown. I did not anticipate Tampa Bay winning the game outright. But it was nice to see Baker play well. I think Detroit will bounce back. Like I said, they turned the ball over a ton. They didn't look great, but I still believe in Detroit.
I mean, the season's early. They just didn't start off as hot as I would have expected them to. So, am I still froze up, by the way?
Let me look. Yes.
Crazy talk, man. So, all right, well, let's move forward to we got the Chargers in Carolina. I took a win-win there. I took the Chargers and the -6, and I took the under because I don't believe there was a lot of high-powered offense out there.
There was not. And, yeah, we both got win-wins, and we captured our lock of the week against the spread here. Both of us took the Chargers -6. I also took them in my survivor pool and felt pretty good about that one. I don't really have a lot to say about this. The only cool thing that I'm excited about coming from this game is Bryce Young getting benched for Andy Dalton. What do you think about that?
Well, if you recall, I said in these videos, I believe Carolina is going to take a quarterback with the first selection next year. That's what I said. And I don't know. I was wondering how long this not an experiment. I mean, he won the Heisman Trophy, right?
He's
And he
first overall
struggled
pick.
as a rookie. That's right. He won the Heisman Trophy, first overall pick. So I don't want to call it an experiment, but if you're totally not losing, it was a terrible season last year, and it started off bad this year. They had to make a coaching decision. I did read in the media they were kind of like roasting him for that, but what are you supposed to do if you're the head coach? They're not cutting it.
I feel like they had to make a change. The offense just wasn't moving. Second worst offense as far as yards per play so far this season. The only one that's worse is Chicago is actually averaging half a yard less than Carolina right now on yards per play. But again, there you go, another Heisman Trophy winning first overall selection rookie quarterback. So I think Caleb Williams has a lot more weapons around him, and I do think he'll get it figured out. But I support the Andy Dalton starting over at Bryce Young. I think it's going to do nice things in Carolina.
Side note, can you see me now?
Yes, you look good now.
It's amazing. We're back. I'm sorry. I have no idea. The camera quality probably went down. The technical difficulties today is unbelievable. So anyway, all right. So moving forward from that, we have Indianapolis, Green Bay. I personally, you took Indianapolis covering the 3.5, minus 3.5, and you took the over. And
yep, I took another double loss on this one.
I also took Indianapolis because I'm a believer. I thought, but I did take the under. I didn't think they have a lot of offense. That's a crazy statement. You have Richardson at quarterback, who's a dual threat, and he's had some massive games already in his early career. You have Jonathan Taylor, who was the next Barry Sanders 3 years ago. Right? Yeah. And then Pittman, turns out he's pretty good. And
I mean, you've got Alex Pierce has been great through 2 weeks. I mean, he's their leading receiver for 2 weeks. I mean, I'm shocked at the performance of the Colts, and I know we'll get into our picks in another video, but I still am a believer in the Colts. I think they've had some struggles. I think they've got some growing pains. I think their defense is pretty good. Middle of the road defense, not going to win you any games, not really going to lose you any games. I think the offense is good enough to win you some games. So I still believe in the Colts as far as going forward this year.
Yeah. Season's early, right? But yeah, okay. Cleveland, Jacksonville.
Another loss win for me. I did catch the under 41.5 on this, but I really believed in Trevor Lawrence, and I really did not believe in Cleveland. Deshaun Watson had a few plays that looked like the old Deshaun Watson in this game. The Cleveland defense obviously has a great front four with Myles Garrett anchoring that. I did think that Jacksonville would cover the 3. You did not. You took Cleveland to win plus the 3, and they did win outright. So kudos to you on that. Well done.
Yeah. Well, squeak that one. I don't. We'll see where we're at. I still, for me personally, I think Jacksonville is a legitimate team. They're not starting off that way, but I'm kind of a Jacksonville fan, maybe. We'll see where they end up. Let's go New York Jets, Tennessee. This one, I took the under, I believe. Yeah, I did. I took the over. I took the over, and I hit it by a half point. That's correct,
and
right?
I lost it by a half a point.
That's right.
You also had the Jets to cover the minus 4, and really well done there. You won both of those.
I'm not trying to bash these teams, but it's a real snoozer, man. I just thought. Go ahead.
It was, and I did hit my prop lock on this one. Breece Hall did go under the 75.5. I think he was right around 60 yards rushing on the day. I really thought Tennessee's defense would be able to shut out the Jets a little bit after what San Francisco did to them. So I was a little shocked about that one. Maybe A-Rod has him going, and he's starting to develop a real connection with Garrett Wilson. Breece Hall's still that guy. The defense for the Jets is incredible. But I'll pump the brakes on the hype. I mean, they did go against Will Levis, who really enjoys throwing the ball to the other team in some really ugly ways here and there. So I'm not going to get too hyped on it. But moving on, Los Angeles Rams versus the Arizona Cardinals. What do you think about that game?
Okay, so for that game, I did take a loss, and because I took L.A. Rams. I know Kyler Murray is a force. Honestly, if he really puts a game together, people are in trouble. But he hasn't always done that. He's not. He's not necessarily. He's the quarterback. He's like the most dangerous guy in the NFL. Depends on the week, right? It just depends on the week. He's not. He's not a constant. He's not a Mahomes. He's not. He's not a. Well, Josh Allen didn't do that good last week, but low numbers. Game managed, great. Low numbers,
Right.
but he's not like a Mahomes. He's not a top quarterback in the league week to week, but has the potential to be the best, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I know it's crazy talk, but it has the potential because you never know. He may show up that week and have 150 yards rushing and throw the 250 yards passing.
I don't know of a more dynamic quarterback in the league week to week that is more exciting to watch. I mean, this is a guy that is around some of the best athletes in the world, the biggest, the strongest, the fastest, and he makes those guys look silly, just running around the pocket looking like backyard football, keeping plays alive, and then making accurate throws down the field or scrambling for a first down. The guy's really fun to watch. I do like kind of the way the Arizona offense is trending. I think they've got some good receivers. I mean, Dortch has done really well for them. I really like James Conner's having a solid year. He's always kind of a solid back. And then Kyler Murray's just doing his thing, man. So I enjoy watching Arizona right now.
Well, okay, so I definitely didn't see I didn't see that coming. That was a landslide. Uh, Terrible game to watch. Yeah, like wasn't exciting. I mean, Arizona, they act like they were playing a JV team. That's what it looked
Yeah,
like.
I agree. I did pick Arizona against the spread there, and I did take the over. I was a win for win, and you did take Los Angeles, got the loss there,
Yeah,
and we both did have the over. So you got the win on the total.
yeah. I only missed that by 30 points. So, uh,
Cincinnati and Kansas City. This game really surprised me as well. What are your thoughts on the Chiefs?
well, based on the first week, if you listen to last week, I thought Cincinnati has no shot. Cincinnati, they're terrible. I'm not a Joe Burrow believer. I know he won a Heisman. I know he had a good first year, maybe second year too. I don't know, man. I don't know how to compare him, but I just didn't see it. I still don't think Joe Burrow showed up as his greatest, but I expected Kansas City to walk that one out, and it just didn't. It didn't happen at all.
Yeah, I thought the Bengals outplayed them for 4 quarters. I think the Chiefs are lucky to escape with a win there. I mean, Mahomes' magic kind of pulled them out there at the end, but I think Joe Burrow outplayed Mahomes. I think Cincinnati outplayed the Chiefs, and I know we talked about that Cincinnati has a history of starting really slow in week one and then coming out and playing well against good teams in week two. So I think this is more of the same going on in Cincinnati. Um, they're in must-win territory moving forward. Cincinnati is, and I think they showed that they can play with anybody, going to Arrowhead and giving the Chiefs everything they wanted.
I mean, I saw a lot of memes about Mahomes and Mahomes receivers, and it was pictures of the referees, and I did read this stat. I'm going to try to get it right. I don't I don't know how many years Mahomes has been in the league. 6? Is it 6? Maybe.
I think 6 is pretty good.
So here, let me try to spit this off as I think. It may not be entirely accurate. 6 years, he's had 17 calls overturned, 17 interceptions overturned. Tom Brady played whatever it is, 23 years. He had 17 overturned in his career.
Wow.
And then
Chiefs get a lot of love from the Stripes.
yeah, and then it was like Lamar Jackson. Maybe it was a meme about Lamar Jackson. I don't know. He's played however many years. He's only had 3 overturned calls. So you have these greats or whatever, but Mahomes had 17 in 6 years, and Tom Brady only had 17 in his whole career. So I don't know exactly what that means. I don't want to get into these crazy narratives, but there was a lot of internet reading about this whole Mahomes thing.
Well, I'm going to buy into it because we both took losses on the against the spread and the total. So we'll blame it on the refs. You good with that?
Yeah, ref's fault 100%. All right, so next we have Pittsburgh, Denver. I have a little bias to Pittsburgh, because as you know, I've been there quite a bit in the last couple of years. I think I think their defense is pretty good. I think Fields is the answer, not Wilson. But anyway, all that aside, I did take Pittsburgh at the 2.5 and
Hmm.
in the under because I just didn't think there's like a lot of dynamic offense. They have some potential there with Najee Harris, Fields as the quarterback, and throwing to Pickens. I mean, they got a lot of potential, but I just didn't think it was going to be high scoring. They played Denver, and Bo Nix
Right.
is their quarterback now. So I did take a win-win on that. I took Pittsburgh the -2.5, and I took the under, but I took a prop bet on this one, and I took Bo Nix under 158.5. I basically was living off of week one through halftime. I believe it was either halftime or right before. He actually only had 39 yards.
Right. He did get a lot of garbage time yards, just throwing it to open receivers. And Pittsburgh was keeping everything in front, letting them get 20 yards a catch, and that really elevated his total there in the second half. So I think he got a little unlucky on that one. It wasn't like it was a blowout where there was going to be a bunch of garbage time, but he definitely had a lot more yards and a lot more room to run for his receivers that second half. But I also got the win on the against the spread taking Pittsburgh and the under on the 36.5. So that was a good game for us here at the Point Shavers.
Yeah. Did you see that image again pop up for
I
half?
did not.
Yeah, man, that's great. I don't know. What about the technology these days? I don't know anything about. All right, so Chicago, Houston. I okay. I took Houston because it's Houston playing Chicago. Chicago's terrible. I am not. I am not a Williams believer. I didn't. I don't think. I do not believe in Williams. I don't think he's going to be the answer. Week one, he definitely wasn't the answer. It was all the defense. And so I'm
Hmm.
like, Houston, dynamic offense. Houston's going to walk in. They're going to take this thing. They're as I had stated last week. I believe they're the hottest team of the last 2 years. Right? They kind of
Right.
came out of nowhere. That's my belief. So yeah, I lost that one. I lost that bet. I took Houston -6.5. Well, lost it. I did take the under, and I got that, which
Yep. So we lost. I also took Houston minus the 6.5. We lost that one by a half a point. Those are always fun. I did take the over. I was not a believer in the Chicago defense coming in, but man, if you look at their body of work, that defense is for real, man. So moving forward, I will be a believer in the Chicago defense. But I'm with you on Caleb Williams. He's got unbelievable weapons all around him, and they're not moving the ball at all. So at some point, we have to put some blame on the quarterback, and I'm happy to do that.
yeah, but I don't believe they're going to Bryce Young him. It's his first year.
No,
They're
they're
going
going to give
to.
him a full season. I'm pretty sure they'll do that until he gets, if he gets injured, maybe. But they're gonna put all their eggs in his basket. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right. So next we have Atlanta, Philadelphia. That was the Monday night game there. I had them at the minus. I took Philadelphia at -6. No. Excuse me. Philadelphia. The spread was -6. I
Correct.
took Atlanta because I'm still trying to fill out this whole Kirk Cousins thing, and Kirk Cousins has always been really good. Maybe not the elite quarterback, but he's been the top 5 to 10 multiple years in a row. So,
He's a solid quarterback, man. He really
it's,
is, and
it's
he's got
Kirk
some weapons
Cousins.
around.
He does. He has a lot of weapons at Atlanta, and so
Hmm.
I just was kind of a believer, and it worked out. Atlanta they covered the spread there at +6.5, but I did lose on the over. I took the over because I thought there would be a lot of offense. I know that AJ Brown got hurt. I don't know. I know it's one guy, but I don't know how much that factored in because if you have Devontae Smith on the other side, you got AJ Brown on the other. Who do you guard, right? So it always
Yeah,
frees
that's
up
tough.
somebody. But if you eliminate one, uh, Dotson is not the. He's not quite as dynamic. I know he was in college, but he hasn't been in the NFL. So
Right. And you know what? Watching that game, I'll tell you this: Saquon Barkley is that guy. And I know he dropped that ball late in the game that gave Atlanta the chance to go down the field for the win.
right.
But Saquon Barkley is that guy. But After watching Jalen Hurts through the first 2 weeks, I don't think he is. I don't think he's the answer in Philadelphia. I don't think his decision making is there. I think he's got all the arm talent, he's got all the running talent, but I don't think his decision making is good enough to be an elite quarterback in the NFL. That's my opinion. Armchair quarterback's easy to play from sitting here drinking a cold beer, but I just don't see Jalen Hurts being the answer for Philadelphia long term.
Man, um, you watch sports also. I mean, everybody has their own analysis. I mean, he won a Super Bowl. He's fantasy wise, he's a top 5 quarterback every year. I don't. Something's missing. I don't know if it's him because he's already proven that he's a winner. I just don't know if it's him. Now they fell off at the end of last year, but the year before that. As a matter of fact, they won the Super Bowl, and then they were undefeated through how many weeks? I'd have to look at it's all memory, but 7 weeks, 8 weeks they're undefeated, and then just landslide, just terrible.
Right.
Last season,
And Jalen Hurts did make it to the Super Bowl, but they did not win the Super Bowl.
oh, they didn't.
Yeah, they got beat in the Super Bowl, but he was the only player in history to lose a Super Bowl while accounting for 4 touchdowns in the game. So he played very well in the Super Bowl, but they did come up short as a team.
Okay. All right. Yeah, well, that's a crazy random fact that I totally got wrong, but yeah, I thought they got one. Guess they didn't. When was the last Super Bowl win for Philadelphia?
The last time they won the Super Bowl would have been with Nick Foles when they had the Philly special.
Okay, so that would have been
2018.
2018.
Mm-hmm.
So just because that is stuck in my mind there. When did Jalen Hurts get there? Are you looking this up? Check that out.
Yes, sir.
You would.
His first NFL season, he completed a lot of passes. 2020, he was selected 53rd in the 2020 draft.
So, okay. So Philadelphia just won it right before he got there. That was my reference. I'm like, well, I thought he was there because it wasn't even about Jalen Hurts. It's that I remembered Jason Kelce has a ring, and I guess it was right before. So Nick Foles was the quarterback that year, right? You said
correct. Yeah, Carson Wentz got hurt.
That's right.
And Nick Foles came in and just was that guy for a long time coming in.
No, that's cool. Well, I apologize for my not fantasy, my not history for the Super Bowl. Well, anyway, so that's our week 2 recap. Anything you got to comment on? Because we're about to put out our week three picks, and
through 2 weeks, my biggest takeaway is the parity in the NFL right now. I don't feel like there's one team that's just going to beat everybody. I feel like even the bottom tier teams of the league, maybe not the very bottom like the Denvers or the Carolina Panthers, but I would have put New England in there before the first week, and I won't do it. I think New England is just as good as maybe some of these mid-tier teams like a Minnesota, like a Tennessee, the bottom grade, but I'm excited to see how this year plays out. I think it's going to be a really challenging year to make some accurate picks, and I think it's really impressive that we've been able to maintain our 55% through the first 2 weeks.
Here's what I think at this point, bottom tier, to use those words. I think there's no questions. Carolina didn't win 3 games this year. Well, you know what? Hold up. They got Andy Dalton. They have someone. They may have a shot. But even Andy Dalton, I don't think they win. I'll raise the bar just because Andy Dalton's there and not Bryce Young. I don't think they win 5 games this year. I don't think Denver's going to be terrible this year. And I believe I'm just looking bottom tier here. Giants and Washington. Somebody had to get a win last week. There's not going to be too many more this year, I don't think.
Right.
I think those are probably your bottom tier teams. And personally, I'm not trying to judge. Like, who am I, right? I'm not an NFL guy. We're just a couple amateur handicappers. I'm just saying, or we're not handicappers, but amateur analysis guys. Yeah, they're terrible. Those 4 teams are terrible.
Yeah, they're not any good. Who are your top 3 or 4 teams through 2 weeks? Who do you think? Which teams do you think have the best chance to make it to the Super Bowl?
Maybe you heard about Buffalo. Maybe you've heard about them. You got an epic matchup this week versus Jacksonville. Who the winner of this game between Buffalo and Jacksonville probably wins the Super Bowl. Epic matchup.
Jacksonville has had Buffalo's number in the past. They've put up a lot of yards and a lot of points against their defense in the past. So
They beat them
I
last
don't want to
year.
get too much into our analysis for moving forward to week 3. But yeah, Buffalo looked really good against the Dolphins.
Yeah. I don't know. I realize this is the recap, but before we get off here, if I have to make a really educated guess, obviously you can't go wrong with Kansas City, right? You can't.
Right.
Kyler Murray. I think Arizona might be a playoff team this year. I know.
Are you buying into Arizona?
I know we're 2 weeks in, but Marvin Harrison Jr. Now he still didn't have the 15 targets. He still didn't have that. But man, he showed up when it mattered.
He get the most of his 4 catches, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, a lot. And I don't want to overstep because it's only 2 weeks. I know Minnesota appears to be like there's somebody. New Orleans appears to be like it's somebody. The season's going to have to progress a little more for me to say that these are the guys.
And let me give you one more question, and then we'll let everybody go here. Divisional rivalry between the Saints and the Buccaneers. What do you think about those 2 teams as far as head-to-head matchup for that division?
I mean, if you listen to these last couple of weeks' shows, I mean, it appears as though I'm leaning towards Tampa Bay. It's only after a week 2 win that I'm starting to turn maybe for New Orleans. I was not really a believer at all, but I'm still going to go Tampa Bay. Season's early. Baker Mayfield had a legitimate year last year. Doesn't mean that Derek Carr's not, but Derek Carr's already been in the league however many years. He's been really good at times, but for the most part, he's not an elite quarterback every year. I'm not saying Baker Mayfield has been either. I'm just saying I feel like he's in a system that works. Derek Carr didn't just get in that system, and last year it was terrible. We're 2 weeks in. Well, let's just see what happens. I'm taking Tampa Bay still on that. That's my opinion, but
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, great job last week, Lloyd. You dominated the matchup between you and I again last week. So you're 2-0 as the Point Shavers reigning champion. So congrats on that. Really well done.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to a great week 3. There's some really good matchups this next week that I'm excited to see and talk about and give these people some winning picks.
Yeah, for sure. Well, all right. Well, we'll get off here. This is our week 2 recap for Point Shavers. And Blake, what's the motto there?
Don't bet it if you don't have it.
That's right. All right. I'll talk to you later, Blake.
See you, buddy.
See you next week, everybody, for the week 3 recap.
Like and subscribe.
That's right.